I contributed to the company for 12 years, but my father gave it to my sister. Now they have abandoned him after his heart attack. I'm a 36-year-old woman who was pushed out of my father's business just 8 months ago. For some context, I've been a part of our family jewelry business for nearly 12 years now. It was started by my grandfather on my dad's side, then passed on to my father. Naturally, I assumed it would come to me next, as the older sister. I've always been deeply interested in the business, ever since my teenage years. My dad constantly reassured me I would eventually take over the business because my sister, who is now 33, never showed any interest in having a career. Her focus was always on getting married and starting a family. So if there was going to be an heir for the business, it would logically be me. This assumption was always taken for granted. We never formalized it in writing, which in hindsight was a mistake. I had served as my dad's personal assistant for 12 years and even quit my first job after 2 years to gain genuine work experience before joining him. I didn't want to come across as entitled. Despite everything I did, my father still replaced me with my sister and her incredibly wealthy fiancé. She hadn't been part of the family for the past 15 years. Having made some really bad decisions. My parents decided to cut her off right after she turned 18. She had announced she wouldn't be going to college because she wanted to explore and find herself. That didn't sit well with my parents. They gave her an ultimatum, either go to college or leave. True to her nature, she chose to leave and moved in with her boyfriend at the time. Their relationship didn't last, and they broke up within 6 months. Afterward, she came back to our doorstep asking to be let back into the family. Before leaving, she had said awful things to my parents. She claimed she didn't need them anymore and was better off without a family like ours. She said we weren't good enough for her because her boyfriend's family was doing much better financially. She really put us down and humiliated us before she left. When she came back, my dad told her the conditions he had set still stood. She now had to agree to go to college and get a degree, no matter what field she chose, or she could stay out. My sister tried to argue and fight her way back into the family, but my dad remained adamant, so she had to leave once again. This time, she vowed never to come back again. For the next 15 years, we only saw her at family events, never otherwise. Whenever she had a life update, we heard about it through other relatives because she refused to speak to us directly. My mom and I tried reaching out several times, but since we remained on good terms with my father, she wouldn't talk to us either. She was incredibly proud and stuck to her word. She didn't come back until my dad tried to re-establish contact with her himself. She figured out her life on her own, though not in the way we expected. True to her promise, she never went to college because it didn't interest her. She lived with a friend for a few months, then got a job and started working to fund the life she wanted. It turned out to be good for her, and she matured a lot along the way. She switched jobs frequently, but had been working at an advertising agency for the past couple of years. We knew all this because she kept in touch with other family members who kept us updated. She knew we were informed about her life. About a year ago, my dad fell seriously ill, and we thought we might lose him due to severe heart problems. The cardiologist warned us it looked grim unless he made significant lifestyle changes. At that moment, my dad decided to contact my sister to end their estrangement. Given how much she had matured over the past 15 years, she finally decided to rejoin the family. When she first visited us, she came alone. We didn't talk much about her life. We were too busy reminiscing about the past. She didn't make it all about herself and didn't share much about her current life. We knew about her professional life from our relatives, but her personal life remained a mystery. She seemed happy to be back, and we all focused on her reconciliation with my dad. It was an emotional reunion, and I was thrilled back then, unaware of what was to come. During her second visit, she brought her fiancé, which shocked us all. She revealed that she had been dating him for 3 years, and they had recently gotten engaged. No one else in the family knew, which explained why we hadn't heard about it. They had kept it a secret. The flow of information wasn't one-sided. Thanks to our relatives, my sister knew our father was having some health issues, but she didn't realize how serious it was, which is why she hadn't visited. She felt it wasn't appropriate to announce her engagement at the time, so she kept it private. But now she believed it was time to introduce him to the family, so she brought him along. He seemed like a nice guy, and it was clear he was well off from his expensive clothes, watch, and shoes. I was happy for my sister because she finally seemed to be with someone she wanted, financially stable, focused, and with a clear future ahead. After talking to them, we learned that her fiancé, like her first boyfriend, was the son of a wealthy man who owned a chain of fast food restaurants. But unlike her first boyfriend, this guy seemed serious about her, and it was obvious they were truly in love. I was genuinely happy for her and congratulated them both. I never expected what happened next. About 3 weeks after meeting her fiancé, my father decided it was best to let them take over our business. One morning, he called me and asked me to come home because he wanted to talk about something. I was at work managing everything since my dad's heart problem had worsened. I was essentially the boss, even though he hadn't officially retired yet. I expected to eventually become the CEO, but that day changed everything. Suddenly, my sister and her fiancé were in the running to take over the business I had been managing for so long. That day, when I went to my parents' house, my parents were there looking pretty serious. My sister and her fiancé were not. My dad finally broke the heartbreaking news after some light talk, and at first, I assumed he was kidding. I just couldn't believe it when I found out he was serious. I questioned him about the rationale for his decision, given that he had only known this individual for 3 weeks. He stated he had a reason, but he would not give one. He argued for a long time before acknowledging that he thought my sister and her fiancé would be more capable than me. To exacerbate the situation, he added that this would be a thoughtful present for them as they begin a new chapter in their lives. They will be married in a few months. They believed this might be a gift for their nuptials. I attempted to talk him out of it, saying that just because the person looked wealthy, a wedding gift didn't have to be the size of an entire company. In addition, he consistently gave me the impression that I would take over the company upon his retirement. He was taking it away to give to people who had been out of our lives for 15 years, and I had based my entire life around this. Since this was my future, I sought to negotiate and urge that we become partners in the company. My father, though, was uncompromising. He added that since the father of my sister's fiancé had previously established a profitable company, he thought they could manage the firm more skillfully. He felt they could grow our jewelry company twice as quick as I could. That day I asked him for a chance, but he refused to listen, and I was devastated. Not only was I disappointed about losing something so important, but I was also angry because I had given this firm 12 years of my life and had gotten nothing in return. Not even my father had respected me. He wouldn't have ejected me if he had valued my labor and effort. I had nothing left to say to my family. Therefore, that was the day I made the decision to sever all contact with them. My life's work, my sister's so-called wedding gift, was something I had thought she would fight for, but she let me down. My sister had always known that after my dad retired, I planned to take over the family business. Since I was 13, I had not stopped talking about it. It wasn't as if she hadn't realized that when she accepted the wedding gift, she was embracing my ambitions and making them her own. I had looked forward to it my entire life. She announced her engagement along with a social media message in which she expressed her gratitude to our parents for this. The most devastating thing of all, in my opinion, was that the family did not even appear to care about me after that. No one ever attempted to get in touch with me. They stopped talking to me the day I moved out of my father's house, and I felt bullied. My life of 12 years had been a complete waste. I felt like everything had gone apart, so I was just grateful that I had enough savings to fall back on for a few months. I could afford to do nothing except try to put my life back together. That was 8 months ago, and I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't begun therapy then, since I could tell I was heading into a serious depression that needed to be treated right away. My sister would share posts, and I would get so nauseous from looking at them, so I had to block her. In addition, I had to inform my family that I was no longer in contact with them and that I was interested in hearing from them no more. No matter how large it seemed, I genuinely asked them not to tell me anything about what my family was up to because I don't believe I wanted to know. My sister and her fiancé couldn't give a damn about my dad's health, which had been progressively declining for the past few months, but they respected it and kept it all a secret from me. It wasn't until I got a call from my dad a week ago that I learned about everything. He informed me that he needed me to come visit him in the hospital since he had gone into cardiac arrest in the middle of the night. He had to use someone else's phone to call me since I had blocked his number, and to be honest, I felt terrible about it. I did, however, feel somewhat less bad after recalling what he had done to me 8 months prior. Nevertheless, I promised him that I would go there to visit him as soon as he called to let me know that he was in pain. I decided to check him out in the hospital and left everything behind. To my amazement, neither my sister nor her fiancé could be found anywhere. My parents were present. Given that they were managing the family business, I felt that they were all quite close. Therefore, I found that to be rather perplexing. I asked them where my sister and her fiancé were as soon as I entered the hospital room because I couldn't stop myself. With great regret, my father informed me that both my sister and her fiancé seemed to be too busy to visit him. As someone who has been managing the company for 12 years, I found it startling because it's a profitable venture that essentially runs itself. We are not required to be at work at all times of the day unless there is an emergency to attend to. I am not able to comment on the current situation in any case. I asked my dad whether they had VY-sighted him at the hospital since he suffered his heart attack, and he said that no, they hadn't gone down there because they were too busy to come see him. They had texted back to him after he had called, saying they were too busy to come see him until he was released from the hospital. I was shocked to learn this information, and I believe my dad recognized he had made a serious mistake in letting my sister and her fiancé take over the company. So he admitted to me that apologizing for what he had done was in fact one of the main reasons he had phoned. Despite my hard work and effort, he had kicked me out of the firm, and he told me that he felt really bad about it and regretted it. Now he wanted to make things right and bring me back into the family and business. He informed me of what had transpired. My sister and her fiancé had failed to show up for him at the hospital. It had dawned on him that they were not as interested in him as he had been in them. Additionally, he informed me that this is not even the first time they have declined to support him. They have been somewhat disengaged for the last few months. He informed me that following his transfer of the firm to the two of them, they had stopped paying him VY-sits, when before they would pay him a VY-sit every other day to see how he was doing. They never bothered to come see him when his health was first failing, claiming they were too busy at work. He doesn't believe this, as he and I both knew that no one was so busy that they couldn't spare an hour out of their day to VY-sit, and especially them, since my parents' house was only a few blocks away from theirs. In any case, he never brought it up, but at this point, they had gone too far, and my dad could take no more of this kind of disrespect. He so desired to reclaim his business and deliver it to the rightful owner. We talked about all of this in the hospital ward, and I was ecstatic when he welcomed me back to rejoin the company. Even though I'm still not entirely over it, I did forgive him at the time when he expressed regret for everything because, to me, nothing was more important than getting back what I was rightfully due. The issue now is that despite his long-standing concern for his daughter, he has finally come to the realization that she has never supported him, and he can no longer put up with this kind of disrespect. He has discussed this with my sister as well. In other words, he was requesting his firm back and releasing it to the rightful owner so they could take care of themselves. Naturally, my sister is furious, and she believes that I am to blame for it. For some reason, she really vented to me over the phone this morning, calling me a terrible person and saying she couldn't believe I was treating her so badly. I'm not really sure why she's getting so worked up over it. She seems to be acting as though she has lost everything and that it's all my fault, even though I have the feeling that there is something that we don't know. To be honest, though, I believe that she should take responsibility for not VY-sighting our father in the hospital. A cardiac arrest, after all, is a serious matter, and she had the option of taking time off work to VY-sit him. It was she that had acted self-serving-ly, and now I was VY-ing what I had rightfully earned all along. Why should I refuse something that I genuinely deserve when 8 months ago she had no trouble taking a gift that she knew she did not deserve? She is upset about it, to be sure, and I tried to comfort her, but she abruptly hung up on me mid-sentence. I'm starting to question if I'm the EVYL guy since it seems like I always end up taking the blame for everything, and I'm just sick of it. Are my parents the bad guys for letting my sister and her fiancé leave the family business so I could get it? Update 1. I really appreciate all of your responses to my post. Although I kind of already knew that I didn't deserve the criticism from my sister, hearing it from you guys only strengthened my tie-in. I don't think I need to say anything more in defense of myself if even total strangers who have no idea about our lives believe that I deserve the business. My last communication with my sister was a few days ago, and I haven't heard back from her since. Fortunately, she hasn't blocked me anywhere. However, I can't help but feel that there's more to this than what she's telling us. No one with a wealthy fiancé would likely act that way about missing out on our business. In my opinion, though I can't confirm anything, I have a feeling that her fiancé might be up to something more than it appears. In the original post's comment area, a few of you had asked me about this. At the time, I didn't think it was relevant, so I didn't respond. However, based on what I've heard, his dad's business has been suffering losses for the past year or so, and I don't think her fiancé and his family are doing well financially right now. This, in my opinion, was their strategy for infiltrating our family business and finally seizing control. I'm still not sure why specifically my sister acted the way she did when she learned that I was being asked to return to the family business and that she was being asked to step down. She shouldn't have to worry if her fiancé is wealthy and has his own business, but she was still heartbroken. She was going to come around and tell us about it pretty soon, but something just did not match up. In any case, we are fortunate that my father refrained from signing any contracts or paperwork and did not formally transfer ownership of the company to my sister and her fiancé, since it may have led to a great deal of difficulties for us. They were working under him in the role that I had held before, but he remained the CEO. He was preparing them to take over in the future, but I don't think that will happen now. My father informed me that although my sister is very distressed, he is not able to take care of her at this time. He's already talking to a lawyer and getting the paperwork ready so I can take over as soon as possible and it can be made formal and official. He just wants to sign everything over to me so that I can handle it all. That's what he's going to do. I'm just really excited, and I don't even think that my sister's dramatic outburst can put a damper on this for me right now. Update 2. Hello everyone. It's been a few weeks since my last post, and I just wanted to let you know that I am now the official CEO of my dad's jewelry company. Now that the turnover is complete, I can declare with formal authority that I am in control. I was certain that this day would arrive, but my sister caused a few delays in the proceedings. Approaching her, she seems utterly unhappy about all of this, so I suppose I can at last admit it. My theory was correct. In reality, she and her fiancé were working very cunningly to infiltrate and take over our family business so that they would have a backup plan in case her fiancé's father decided to sell his business. My sister was the one who had instilled in my father the notion of accepting them back into the family by transferring the company to his prospective son-in-law, and he had regrettably fallen for it all. All of this was just recently revealed to me after I got back in touch with my father, who admitted to me that he was not acting rationally. He was being avaricious because he had somehow thought that a man from a well-known business family would be more capable of managing everything than I would be. He had initially planned to keep me in the role I had been in up until that point, but he lost his cool when I informed him I would not be interested in the business if I did not end up leading it, which resulted in these 8 months of complete suffering for both of us. Fortunately, he realized his mistake just in time, and we managed to avert a major catastrophe, as my sister's fiancé and his father currently have zero reputation in the market. People had been telling me that his father's company was about to close, but I hadn't bought into it because I knew that my father would get in touch with me if something like this happened, and he had assumed that I would get in touch with him if something this significant was going to occur. It was fairly stupid of us to not reach out to each other as a result. However, my sister has finally acknowledged what she was attempting to accomplish and set aside her ego in order to talk to me. She contacted me a few days before the announcement that I would take over as CEO, informing me that she and her fiancé were in dire need of work because they didn't know how long his dad would be able to work. She was pleading for assistance now, so I told her I would give it some thought. Hiring them is not a problem for me. It's only that knowing what their initial objectives were makes it impossible for me to ever trust them again. That's the reason I'm currently experiencing some strange feelings. While I really want to support her, how can I even hire someone I don't trust? I requested her to give me some time, and so far she has complied, but I'm not sure what else I should do. Update 3. I have made the decision not to hire my sister and her fiancé. I realize that some people would probably think I'm very self-centered, but in all honesty, I can't trust these folks. They initially accepted my dad's offer to take over the business, and for the following 8 months, they didn't even attempt to get in touch with me. They have no empathy or sympathy for anyone but themselves, and I don't want those kinds of people around me or employed by me. I had to break the bad news to my sister that I was unable to assist her. She did not take it well. Obviously. She pitched a fit and stormed into my office the other day, calling me cold-blooded and self-centered, and that she regretted ever letting me have the firm back. That seemed strange to me because she had no involvement in that. As the head, my father made the choice, and anything he said was followed. That was not her decision at the time, and it is not mine today. Therefore, it was absurd of her to appear as though she had done me a great favor. All of that I could have put up with, but that comment really got under my skin. I told her that she had done me no favors either now or in the past. It's quite naive of her to expect me to feel the same way for her when she didn't appear to care about me. She kept yelling at me when I gently requested her to go. I couldn't handle this amount of drama, so I called the police and had her removed away as she was seriously undermining me. I really don't need this right now because I'm already quite busy at work. She simply departed as the police arrived, though, as she had nothing else to say. Since we haven't heard from her in a few days, I'm going to assume that she should stop bothering us. I don't care if she doesn't because I'll obtain a restraining order against her. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.